Hey boos, and welcome back to Cooking with Kiana, where I show you how to make restaurant quality meals in the comfort of your own home. So today we're making spinach, cheese, and bacon stuffed chicken breasts with a creamy wine and garlic sauce to go on top. So stay tuned and I'll show you guys how to make this super easy, delicious recipe. For this recipe, you'll need about 6 boneless and skinless chicken fillets, 6 slices of smoked bacon, a handful of feta cheese, a handful of mozzarella cheese, 2 handfuls of fresh spinach, 7 garlic cloves, half a stick of cream cheese, cooking wine. I'm going to be using fine marsala for this recipe, complete seasoning, garlic, pepper, and herbs, roasted garlic and rosemary sea salt spice blend, chicken seasoning, parsley, and heavy cream. So let's start cooking. First, I'm going to start off by chopping up 7 cloves of garlic. And I like to smash this first with the back of my knife. It just makes it easier for me when I'm cutting it. And once I'm done smashing these, I'm just going to go in and chop these finely. And once I'm done with that, I'm just going to set that aside, put that in a bowl because we are going to be using that later. All right, so now you want to set your stove to medium heat, and I'm going to add about 6 slices of bacon. If your pot is big enough, you could cook this all at one time. Since my pot is on the small side, I'm going to cut these in half and probably do about 2 batches. And I'm going to cook these for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. Once my bacon is finally done, I'm going to remove that from the pot and set that aside. You want to make sure you keep all that bacon grease, and I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of cooking wine to that. At this point, you want to make sure you put your stove on low heat, and we're just going to stir that in. That bacon grease with that wine is going to definitely give it an amazing flavor. Now I'm going to add in the garlic, and we are going to let that simmer for about 2 minutes. Once that's done simmering, I'm going to add about 2 handfuls of spinach, and we are just going to cook this until it starts to wilt. Great thing about this is that spinach is going to absorb all of the wine and the bacon grease, giving a nice added flavor. All right, so now that our spinach is pretty much done, we are just going to set that aside. And since our bacon is probably cooled off by now, we are going to chop this up. And I'm basically going to chop this up in about inch-thick slices and then set that aside. By the way, be sure to check the description box where I will be posting the full recipe and step-by-step directions. Also, if you're a foodie like me and you like cooking, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a new recipe every week. So now it's time to make our filling. So I'm just going to take my spinach and I'm going to add that to a large bowl. Then I'm going to add in the bacon, half a stick of cream cheese, a handful of feta cheese, and a handful of mozzarella cheese. Then I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon of that rosemary, garlic, and sea salt blend. And then after, I'm going to give everything a good mix until everything is well combined. Now that we're finally done with our filling, we are going to set that aside so we can get started on these chicken breasts. So after I've washed my chicken, I'm just going to go in with about a half a teaspoon of roasted garlic and rosemary sea salt spice blend, 1 teaspoon of chicken seasoning, 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, 1 teaspoon of parsley, 1 teaspoon of garlic and pepper herbs, and 2 teaspoons of complete seasoning. And those are the exact measurements for the amount of seasoning that I used. If you happen to miss anything that I said, the measurements should be on your screen as well as in the description box below. So now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of that mixture, and I'm going to make sure I spread it evenly on the chicken. Once it's evenly spreaded, I'm going to start from the end and I'm going to roll it all the way up to the other end, using toothpicks to bind those 2 pieces together. I'm going to start on the ends, and I basically just put 2 at each end. I'm going to show you guys how to do this one more time. So I'm basically just taking about 2 tablespoons of that filling and I'm gonna spread that evenly. And then we're just gonna roll this up from end to end. Then we add the 2 toothpicks on each side just to make sure that filling is really sealed in there. All right, I'm gonna do the rest of these off camera and I'll be back. Now that I'm finally done, I'm gonna put my stove on medium heat and I'm gonna add some oil to my cast iron skillet, as well as about 4 tablespoons of butter, and we are just gonna let that melt. I'm gonna add in the chicken breast. I'm gonna add this in folded side down. That way none of the filling ends up falling out. Once you see a golden brown ring around the bottom of your chicken breast, that is how you know it's time to flip it over and start searing the other side. And I'm gonna sear these chicken breasts for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. Now that I'm done searing both sides, I'm gonna flip these over so the folded part is at the bottom again. And once I'm done flipping these over, I'm gonna place this in the oven on 350 for about 10 minutes. While that's in the oven, I'm gonna get started on the creamy garlic wine sauce. I'm gonna add about 4 tablespoons of butter to my pan. I'm gonna make sure I have that on low heat. And I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. If you have fresh garlic, you can use this instead. Then we're just gonna let that melt. Once that has melted, I'm gonna add in about 4 tablespoons of cooking wine. Then I'm gonna let that simmer for about a minute. After a minute, I'm gonna add in about 4 tablespoons of heavy cream. Of course, after, you wanna give that a good stir. Now I'm gonna add in some spices just to kick this up a notch. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of parsley, 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 6 sprigs of thyme, and a half a teaspoon of the rosemary, garlic, and sea salt blend. And then of course, we're gonna give that a good stir. That sauce reduce a little bit, and then we're gonna turn this off and set this aside because our sauce is done. All right, so once our chicken has came out the oven, you just wanna let that cool down for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you wanna remove all of those toothpicks. As you can see, because I use the toothpicks, none of the filling is falling out of the chicken and we don't have a mess. All right, so now I'm gonna cut into the chicken so you guys can see what it looks like on the inside. I also want to show you guys 2 different ways to serve this meal. As you can see, the chicken is very moist and it has that super creamy smoked bacon flavored filling on the inside. And once I add that wine sauce, girl, you just don't know. I'm telling you, you guys definitely need to try this recipe. Another way you can serve this is just by keeping the chicken breast whole and just adding the glaze on top. I think I might like this way a little bit better. The other way was a little too fancy for me. And that's the final product, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed my recipe. Also, if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave that in the comment section below. Also, if you guys like this recipe, be sure to hit that like button and share it with all your family and friends. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.